Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Professional Insight Podcast, Season 2, Episode 22.
No more jokes about the age. No, you guys clearly didn't get that.
My name's Brandon Curry.
I'm Jeff Collins.
Josh Bond.
Just Trevor.
The Trevor.
Oh, is it the? Sorry, the Trevor.
So
Go on the Facebook.
I want to touch on
Look at faces.
the importance. This reiterates, and people, roll their eyes, and sometimes, but a lot of people get blown away about
Just rolled my eyes.
US Situs Laws. Anybody? No?
Coleslaw.
That's right. So
Citrus
basically,
glazed over.
why it's very
Here's my eye roll.
important to talk to someone, not just any accountant either. I mean, talk to a financial planner who actually knows at least a bit about this subject, and talk to and deal with specifically a chartered accounting agency that has a tax department that actually understands this.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, and goodbye. And all of our
We're done.
And everyone canceled. So this, okay, in layman's terms, and so for any professional, any tax professional that's listening, I'm gonna try to keep this in layman's terms as much as possible, because people do glaze over with US Situs Laws. What it states basically is, and we have a couple of buddies that own property specifically in Ellicottville, right, because of where we're located, or
Florida.
everyone knows people that own something in Florida or
UC.
Myrtle Beach,
Arizona now, too.
Yeah.
Actually, it's something
Hopefully
like,
Bond in Florida pretty
something
soon.
like 56% of
I'm interested in
the 56% of the property purchased in 2008, 2009 in Arizona, something was Canadians.
Well, of course,
Like, it
because
was
our
astronomical.
dollar was at par,
Yeah.
We don't
and their
charge
market
50%
just
tax
tanked,
on us
right?
to buy there,
But
right?
everyone took advantage of those prices, but no one did the research on US Situs Laws. And what that states is that there is a threshold that every president can pass through Congress, has to be passed through Congress and then passed through the Senate, but proposed that if your worldwide estate in US dollars exceeds that particular threshold, your worldwide estate is subject to US tax. Starts at 18%, goes all the way to 40%.
Good to know.
Ironically,
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm not
very
buying in
much so.
Florida anymore.
well, I'm not saying don't. I'm saying, ironically, everyone likes to harp on Trump. And don't get me, I'm there with you from anyway.
Yeah.
Better to have Republicans.
From the wall.
Well, no, here's
Maybe.
why. So in the 2015 election leading up to, it glazes over the majority of people. So Trump in 2018 passed, when he did that massive tax cut bill, in there was an increase in the US Situs Law. So let's take it back to 1990 when Bill Clinton was in power. He actually reduced the threshold of the worldwide estate of a non-US citizen to $1 million. So if you had a worldwide estate upon death of exceeding $1 million US, okay, and you owned US property, you would be subject to their estate tax.
Okay.
Because in Canada does not have an estate tax.
We've got an estate administration tax.
That's different. Okay. There's difference between the growth on a product, which is the capital gain or the taxable capital gain, versus taxing on the entire estate or an inheritance tax, which is what they have in the States. It's different. It's completely different. And through proper tax planning in Canada, you can alleviate a lot of the death taxes, is what we like to call it.
Sure.
Okay. So let's use
Plan around.
you can avoid in Canada.
We don't avoid taxes. We plan around them.
No. According to the tax law, I'm being specific here. This was ruled into law because of a case law. We are legally allowed to avoid paying taxes. We are not. It is illegal to evade paying tax.
Okay.
Avoiding paying tax is I make $100,000 a year. I make a $20,000 contribution to my RSP, lowers my income to $80,000. I pay less tax. That's legally avoiding paying tax.
Sure,
Or with
okay.
write-offs. Evading tax is me saying I only made $50,000 this year when
You're
really I
lying.
made $100,000. That's illegal. Okay. So, someone.
Lawyered.
So when Donald Trump came into power, he actually doubled the amount of the US Situs to 11.2 million worldwide income.
So now is this just, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but is this in the event of your passing?
Yes.
So only in your passing if you still hold that
Yes.
estate? Okay.
Yes. So it's part of the liquidation process of your estate.
Otherwise, I presume that there's some kind of capital gains or similar capital gains tax that we'd have to pay American side.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
if, you know,
yeah, that's right.
our buddies sold their place.
Correct. So what would happen is if you had that, however, people rejoiced, which is great. It's 11.2% indexed annually. However, it's only good until technically Trump, if he's elected for a second term, it would cease to exist. It's only good for 8 years till 2025. Hillary Clinton, if she were to be elected, she wanted to reduce it to 5.6 million, but increase the tax applicable to 62%, the highest rate. So I'm going to use a Financial Post example, just so I can kind of walk everyone through about the financial impact, if you don't mind. So they do a really, really great example. It's basically PricewaterhouseCoopers, the private company services group, that one division, issued a bulletin. So where would I start? There are exemptions. So it's about 14 million Canadian today indexed. So the gentleman's name is David. It doesn't matter. They made up a name. A Canadian resident who is not a U.S. citizen, who owns U.S. property, so U.S. Situs property, which would be a house or a condo. And the value of that condo is $1.5 million U.S. His entire estate at death is $15 million U.S. So add that on, he's about like $19 million Canadian. If David dies in 2018, he would only be subject to U.S. estate tax on the value of his U.S. condo, worth $1.5 million, because of our treaty with the U.S.
Okay.
And the fact that you're a Canadian resident.
Is this the new treaty?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that hasn't
This
been
is
passed
old
yet.
on
This
NAFTA?
is old. Yes, this is old NAFTA.
Okay.
The estate tax in this amount before deducting any credits, right? Because basically what they do is they say, okay, a 40% tax on 11.2 million is 4.4 million US. Okay, we're going to apply a credit to that. That's what credit you get. So essentially, it negates itself.
So similar so far to our capital gains.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. So the estate tax on this amount before deducting any of the credits works out to $545,000. So 1.5 million times 40% is approximately $545,000 US by applying the graduated US estate tax from 18 to 40%. Okay. But under the US-Canada Treaty, David's estate can claim a prorated credit equal up to $442,000, which is calculated by prorating the full credit of 4.4, so it's 10% of his estate. So only 1.5 million of the 15 million is applicable. So only 10% of that is the credit, and that goes against it. He therefore, it'd be reduced. His U.S. tax bill would be $103,000 on that $1.5 million.
As opposed to the
right.
Whatever it would have otherwise been.
Now, if he's married at the time, meaning, and I want to really stress this, married in the sense of
Church?
U.S. marriage, church
Just
marriage,
as a piece?
not same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
You have to remember cohabitation.
Their laws
and
apply.
same-sex, it applies in the States. It does not apply. So if you are cohabitating with somebody, or common law with somebody, or you are a same-sex couple, depending on the state of where you own, you are not legally recognized to be married. In this particular example, they mean marriage, husband and wife.
As recognized by
their
that
law.
state's law.
He
State or
then-
federal?
This is every state's different.
That's what I mean. Is it? You would
So
have
it's
to
a federal
follow that.
law,
Yeah.
but in Alabama or wherever,
Yep.
it might not be recognized.
Okay.
And technically, federally, same-sex marriage is not recognized in the U.S. So he can leave the asset to his spouse upon his death, and that is allowed to happen. But you got to be very careful with that.
without triggering that taxation or any taxation on the estate's end.
Correct. So a lot of people are not aware, and people hear, 11.2 million, I'm going to be completely fine. I'm not going to have a worldwide asset. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize for US Situs, life insurance, unlike in Canada where it goes outside of the estate, It bypasses the estate, it bypasses probate, and it's non-taxable.
Directly to the beneficiary.
In the U.S., life insurance is calculated as part of the state calculation
Really?
for U.S. Situs purposes. So, let's use me as an example. I've already discussed multiple times. Based on my financial planning, I need a couple $1 million of life insurance, which
Curry Kennedy.
yeah, which I hate to break it to the majority of people. If you have a family of 4, you need that kind of amount of money based on the financial planning process. However, that would form part of my estate. So right off the hopper, I've got $3 million.
Yeah.
If this then, if it expires either prior to 2025, because
You
of
got
the
squat.
president-
You're in the ground
yeah,
at that point in time.
I'm at
but
squat,
just-
but everything gets liquidated. I have now worldwide assets of $3 million. If a new president comes in, like Bernie Sanders, right, and in their plan, they drop it to $2.5 million, and I own a condo in Myrtle Beach, well, guess what? My family, if I'm not married at the time, if I don't have a spouse that I can roll it over to, all of that stuff, they have to pay the tax man, and they can't do anything until that tax bill is paid. So there's a lot more detail that goes into US Situs, and I'm not going to bore a lot of people with it.
No, but I mean, it's good to be
A
aware.
lot
I
of
wasn't
people
aware
do
of
not
it, right?
know about that.
Didn't hear that?
What?
I just said, oh, thank God.
So it's just,
in he you trust?
yeah, so it's something that you need to be aware of, because a lot of people got all hot and heavy about buying a piece of property in 08 and 09, and I don't, and quite frankly, I think we're going to be hitting a recession soon
1 year?
anyways. Yeah, it's coming,
Yeah.
but like a correction,
smelling
nothing
it for a bit.
crazy, nothing like 08 or 09. But I can already see property values decreasing in the States and what have you. So, just be careful and talk to a financial planner and make sure it's done correctly.
Still probably a good investment, but just to be aware, right? I would even went in blind, right? Because I mean, I was looking, 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom condos, right? 40 grand,
Yep,
right? Like, I mean, and they're taking Canadian at par.
yep.
So it was very attractive, but my wife didn't want to do
Was
it.
it in 08, 09?
Yes.
Yep.
I still haven't let her down for it.
Yeah.
And that's why you didn't get a
Yes.
Yeah.
smart.
So, do you guys have any questions about
That's
that?
that final card we get.
No.
No.
No, it's good.
No,
It's
I'll
good,
listen
good,
to this
good.
3 or 4 times to understand it.
No, it's good to know. I mean, that that there's that
Just ask that
potential
question. You're buying American
taxation.
property, basically.
Yeah.
Just understand where the U.S. and it's at the time of
Just
death.
talk to
not-
somebody.
well,
Talk to somebody before you do it.
It's
right?
not at the time of purchase. It's at the time of death. So yeah, if you bought it in 1990
Just
and
don't die.
U.S.
Yeah.
U.S. Situs laws
Simple.
were 1 million, but today they're 11.2. But if they're 1 million at the time of death, well,
Yeah.
too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
You're done. So that's pretty much
And one thing worse, the only thing worse about paying our own taxes,
is paying some other government's
paying
taxes,
some other country's
Yeah.
taxes.
and then you don't even live there.
Just snap a
And
banana.
everything's caught in red tape until it's done, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, something that I'm seriously contemplating is opening up a family trust and putting the
Trust company.
the rental property or the property if I wanted to buy a U.S. property in the trust as opposed to, because the trust lives on forever, as opposed to myself. So if I pass away, yes, I'm the settler, but I can name another trustee on the trust deed, right?
Yeah.
Beneficial.
Those are very rare, right? Like when a trust
Again,
trust has ownership. Well, they don't actually have beneficial ownership. They're on as trustee, right?
right. So it's just something that you need to think about before
No, it's
purchasing.
good.
No, never even thought of it, so it's good.
All right.
Perfect. So,
How long was
Excellent.
that, Jacqueline?
where can we
Oh, well, that's really quick.
where can we
Excellent.
hear
Yeah.
things?
Yeah, where can we? That's anywhere podcasts are being heard and
You got it.
broadcast and sold and whatever.
Help us help you stay informed.
Thanks, everyone.
Out.